Dirt Flanagan. You're a lousy shot. I don't like lousy shots.
Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
So what next? I think I gotta get drunk. Get drunk? You always play better when you're thirsty.
Woo! I've got the style and profile like never before!
Prepare to engage. It's time for the Lousy Shot Podcast with Tanzer and Savino, presented by FanDuel.com. Today we present a lousy road trip with Aaron, Tom, and Tanzer.
Live atop the Indigo Hotel, the Lousy Shot Podcast.
Fabulous downtown Fort Myers River District.
Episode number 29. We planned on doing this originally in a car on the way here during our 3-hour drive, but we decided to not do that.
For the fans. I mean, for the fans. I mean,
for the fan,
this is what they want to hear.
For the girlfriends of people of the show, the only people who listen to the show. But
we don't want to water down the integrity of this show by having it not be our utmost attention.
Integrity is our
You're watching the
surname.
Road, like you're not really paying attention.
Well, I had said it's funny because I had said in the intro how I didn't want to commit a minimum of 3 to 5 traffic misdemeanors, which we did anyway, I think. Anyway, it's good to be back in Fort Myers with you guys. I appreciate you guys coming down and hanging out.
It's a good time.
Thank you.
This is year number 2 of our mini man trip, I guess we can call it.
Our mancation.
I think once it hits a full week, then it's a full mancation.
That's a good point because 3 days is like it's more like a getaway, a scooch.
It's like going to a friend's wedding.
Right. Well, we did this last year, and I'm not sure if you guys remember, episode number 3 was actually us driving down in the car and chatting and talking, which was a lot of fun to do. But we decided to actually
Scarlett Johansson.
Or the missing Malaysian Airlines comments.
Or I think there was a lot of Four Loko talk, I believe, as well. But we decided to post up here at the outside bar down by the pool and chat a little bit. So I think one thing we could have a hard time not talking about would be the absolute fucking batshit insanity that was the NFL free agency the past week.
Jake Locker is the biggest fucking story.
I know. I like how you think that Jake Locker retiring is the biggest story of that whole thing.
He played 11 games out of 4 years. How is that not the biggest story?
How much money did he make?
$12.5 million.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Because
he
came in the same draft as Sam Bradford.
Is backup quarter? Like I feel like there's the market for backup quarterback is almost like the most cush gig in the world. You got guys like Charlie Whitehurst and Matt Leinart even made a career to being a backup. I mean,
Ryan Mallett made like $6.5 million being a backup to Tom Brady.
Exactly, and now he just had a big deal with the Texans too.
Randy Orton, who should be a strip club DJ, was the starting quarterback for the Bills last year.
Kyle Orton.
Him too.
Randy was a wrestler.
The RKO.
I will knock you out.
So the biggest moves that we've seen obviously is LaShawn McCoy to the Bills.
Yeah.
What else have we seen? We saw DeMarco Murray today go to the Philadelphia Eagles.
With the Eagles also dumping more money into Ryan Matthews.
But by the way, they also have Darren Sproles.
Do they? Or are they
It's like almost like the Saints running line here.
Or are they going to deal Darren Sproles away to bump up to try to get
Adrian
Mariota?
Chip Kelly keeps saying he's not going to lay out the farm to get Mariota because they got to go to second pick.
Right.
Second or third
No.
pick.
He's projected 7 or 8.
Wait, Jags are third pick. They might take a quarterback.
So let's also talk about Julius Thomas goes to the Jags. I think is a big deal.
A good pick. That's good for Bortles. That's good for the offense right there.
Oh, just for the Jaguars franchise in general, I think to have a big name like that is going to put asses in the seats. And it gives Bortles another weapon. I like that a lot. But also some quarterbacks moving around a little bit.
Yeah, but no good ones.
No, I mean, I think that the
what's his nuts? Hoyer? moving to the Texans.
I think there's just such a deficiency of good quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, they're not even mid-grade quarterbacks right now. They're like, D-level quarterbacks, and that's what.
But look
enough white people in football.
But look at Nick Foles.
I do not agree with that statement.
Like Nick Foles goes to the Rams. It means Nick Foles is going to be.
Jeff Fisher is actually not a bad coach to be under.
Yeah,
right, of course.
But there were rumors that Nick Foles had a falling out with the administration of the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right.
No offense, but if I'm the starting quarterback, we all know the season he had in 2013. I am doing whatever they want.
I will say Nick Foles was actually like a Mariota-type quarterback for Chip Kelly. He had the college offense still fresh in his brain.
Right.
Still completely fresh.
We said this before about how there are certain systems that don't necessarily require the highest level of skill, but the system is so effective. You can plug anybody into it.
Yeah, like the next man up attitude, yeah.
Right. The example being Belichick or Chip Kelly, where Belichick plugged in guys who you never heard of before, who were still performing at a very high level. But yeah, Chip Kelly had Mark motherfucking Sanchez, and
who everybody thought was done
as a New York Jet. But
I love the guy. He was a great guy.
What's the Ravens coach that plugs in any running back
Harbaugh.
and he'll work? Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And whatever running back they plug in for that week, they work.
I think it's a mindset too of the player knowing that they're going to play for Belichick, Harbaugh.
But you have to own into it, because look at a guy like Randy Moss or even Ocho Cinco. When they came to New England, they knew, hey, listen, is Belichick's way or no way? Because if you don't agree with this, then you get the fuck out.
One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever throw to you.
Right.
If you're not in agreement with this, welcome to the CFL.
Right, and that's the thing. Is like you have to be able to.
Ishmael.
You got to buy in. If you don't buy in, then you're not. But I feel like there's too many teams now that rely on on skill and let's just like the Dolphins, for example. Yeah. They signed Ndamukong Suh. Sure. They're all in on Tannehill. But other than that, what do they have?
They re-signed Clay, and Clay would be good under someone else, but not Tannehill.
Right, but their franchise in general is known for being. I mean, they're quintessential 8-8. What's going to make them win 13 games?
It's
nothing that they've done.
It's not like they were the Falcons 3 years ago. Going into the playoffs, going strong. Right. Matty Ice is fucking firing away. Right. And then they go 2-14 the next season. What?
Right.
I think what has disappeared is, there are too many teams that are too quick to drop a quarterback, and there are too many teams that are not quick enough to drop a quarterback. The Dolphins should have figured out by now, Tannehill will not lead them to a Super Bowl. They'll be lucky if he leads them to the playoffs.
But quarterbacks, like you said earlier, are so scarce. Who are they going to bring in?
I mean, Johnny Manziel.
But how many guys come into the league for 1 or 2 years and they're gone?
But that's the problem. I think
they disappear into obscurity.
I think the media has put so much pressure on the quarterback to lead that team to a Super Bowl.
But it is
because Russell Wilson did it in the second.
But would you agree that it's the most difficult position in all sports?
Hands down.
It is the most difficult mental position.
Absolutely.
But I think physically not as much. But the media and everybody else has put so much pressure on the quarterback to be that leader of the team if they don't do it in 2 seasons.
At that point, when you're the quarterback of a team, you might as well be like you're the CEO of the franchise if you like it or not.
Right.
But exactly, if you're not doing your fucking job, you're out.
But
bring somebody else in.
We've gotten to a point now in the NFL where if you do not have an elite quarterback, your chances of advancing, even getting to the playoffs, are slim. Even advancing in the playoffs are slim because everyone look at every single team that made the playoffs.
I'm going to argue that.
I think it's down to the system too.
I'm going to argue that.
It is, but you need someone who can run the system.
I'm going to argue that because Russell Wilson is not an elite quarterback.
He's not.
He
makes it happen, but he's not an elite quarterback.
And he knows how.
I don't know. What makes him not elite?
I feel like if you were to replace Marshawn Lynch with a busted-up running back, Baldwin with a busted-up receiver, Percy Harvin's gone now, but Percy Harvin was doing well when he was in game. You take all of those pieces and you bust them away and put average running backs and receivers.
And the defense, if they let up a normal number of points,
he's going to be an average quarterback.
I think he's I don't. Maybe the word elite.
I like what he does. Like, he's a humble guy. He's a good guy. Like, I'm a Russell Wilson fan when it comes to the person, and that's even fewer than me, like, being a fan of the actual athlete, if that makes any sense.
Another one, I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
But I am happy to see a good guy like Russell Wilson succeed when he does. So don't get me wrong by what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is he doesn't have the big arm. He doesn't, have this or that. I think what it supports what you're saying, Mike, is he's a product of a successful system.
I agree. And the system is
A perfect example, though, Mike, is that throw he made during the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
He was right on target with it, but I
perfect.
think if you do that 10 times, he's about 60% on that.
But
He doesn't have the big arm.
I hate to say it, but I would argue that Tom Brady would be the same success ratio and now at his age.
But I think you have to have the right
not in
receiver,
2001,
quarterback
3 or 4.
conversation.
Sure.
Not in 2001, 3 or 4, but at 37, yeah, maybe Tom Brady's that guy now. But he's had the big arm and he has the experience. But like Russell Wilson, I mean, I hate to say it for him because he's such a good guy, but it's only downhill from here.
But what I'm saying, okay, let me say this.
Got the ring. Hey-oh.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say you put a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning or whatever in the role that, like, let's say you put him in Cleveland.
The offensive line has a lot to do with that.
I agree with you. And what I'm saying is, like, let's say you had Josh Gordon and you had Andrew Hawkins and you had Ben Tate.
Yeah.
Do you think that would make that team successful just by plugging a quarterback into a...
I think if you plugged a better quarterback to what it is, but the problem with the Browns is they focus so much emphasis on the quarterback for the last 15 years.
Without actually having a quarterback.
They drafted 11 quarterbacks.
Or what about
11?
Let's do Cam Newton here, okay? You have
a good example.
The best tight end in the league, one of the best tight ends like Greg Olsen.
Yeah, who's now gone.
But the rest of his receiving core is D-
Well, you could
or
say
less.
that, but Brendan LaFell comes to
Steve Smith.
Brendan
was good.
LaFell, Stephen
He still
Smith
had
go
it.
other places and they do just fine. Like, when you have a quarterback that's asking himself, should I run every play or should I throw? Like when you get to Aaron Rodgers, or I won't even say Tom Brady, but Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or whoever, like their last option is to run.
Yeah,
they're
holding
for
the ball for
open
10
man.
seconds, and then it's like,
well, those guys are pocket
fucking
quarterbacks.
run.
Well, so do you?
Because they're quarterbacks. The quarterback is a thrower. Once
Yeah.
you want to make a quarterback a part-time running back, the whole game changes. And I mean, how many Super Bowls have been won with a running quarterback?
So
Do you think Michael Vick changed that in 2011?
Well, I was just going to ask you. Do you think do you think this is more of a dying age of the quarterback that was a trend 2 years ago, which is the Robert Griffin,
I think they're just proving it. I mean,
Russell Wilson guys.
I'll be honest with you. The best
Cam.
he gets is Cam Newton. 6
His
foot,
size,
6'5", 240 pounds, solid as a rock.
He basically becomes the second running back.
Yeah, I mean,
and a threat.
And defenders are like, oh shit,
Right.
you got a guy
I
almost 100 pounds more.
And- but- and-
7 inches.
This guy can bowl me over.
Yeah.
Like he is that strong.
And the defensive coordinator has to make adjustments for specifically for your
And
game.
that's a good offensive coordinator to know that if my quarterback has to run, can he run that guy over? Yeah. Can he run J.J. Watt over?
So,
Probably not.
let me ask you this: if you're starting a franchise tomorrow, brand new franchise, and you could draft any quarterback right now to start your franchise, who would that be? Like tomorrow,
with the
At their
current
age.
roster.
current rosters, ages, and everything. Not
Andrew Luck, hands down.
Andrew Luck, yeah.
No, why do you say that?
Size, speed, mobility, throwing strength,
And he cut
ability to read.
And he cut off the neck beard last week.
You guys don't have any. You guys don't have any problem with this weird Andre the Giant
But
No,
voice.
I don't have a problem with the fact that he's made the playoffs every year. He's been a quarterback.
So is it safe to say that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
I would say
for
that.
someone who hasn't won
He is
anything
top
yet.
five-
though.
He is still top 5.
Yeah.
And let me say this too: is he a running quarterback? No, he's a pocket quarterback. He's big enough to run,
But he'll
can
make
run.
it happen.
So why hasn't, besides the injuries, why hasn't a guy like RG3 been successful in a league?
I think if he didn't tear his ACL, he'd been a lot better. I think he's being more careful now because of that injury.
And he falls
because of
back on the
everything.
fact he can't pass now.
because
So
he
now,
was so scared.
Yeah.
after
when you
that
when you
injury.
take the mobility away, it's what you got in the passing game. And when you are 60% of the passer that an average quarterback is, because you are running it the other 40%, that's what it becomes.
What's even crazier to me is that a guy like Carson Palmer can actually come in nowadays in his late 30s and still be an
Because
effective
he's a
and dominant
fundamentally
quarterback.
safe pocket quarterback.
Right.
As long as he has the offensive line to protect him
Correct.
for 5 seconds,
Right.
he can make it happen. But if that pocket crumbles like a Jags or Cleveland, he's not. If you were to put Tom Brady in Cleveland, he'd be booted out in 2 years.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't happen. You just don't have that protection.
And whatever team, if Tom Brady retires next year or the year after, or the Patriots don't pick up his contract, he's not going to go to a team that's set up to fail. He's going to go to a team that's set
Or he's
set
just
up,
going to walk away from
or
the
he's just going to walk. Like Reggie Wayne is probably just going to walk away unless he gets signed by some big name
Right.
team.
He's been with that team.
And I'll tell you what, and if we're talking about free agency, the biggest travesty is the Colts not holding a spot for Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
Because you know what's better than a young tight end that's talented? A veteran tight end that can teach everyone else everything else.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it makes my heart sad. Like, it's one of the few things in sports that the Colts are willing to walk away from Reggie Wayne just because his contract
just 'cause of
signed him
whatever,
for
yeah.
2 more years for decent money. And you know what? He can teach these younger guys, the Moncrief and this and that, and Frank Gore. He can tell
Right.
Frank Gore some stuff. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Younger guys like Frank Gore, who's still 30, will listen to a guy like Reggie Wayne.
There's
They get it. They understand.
There's something to be
Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. There's something to be said for locker room guys
Right.
who can bring in the
There's
experience.
There's
and
a
all that.
reason when Tony retired last year that he said, if the right opportunity arises, I could come in late in the season.
Right.
Because 2 seasons ago, he didn't want to play because he wanted to see his kid play football. He wanted to see his kid play.
Right.
But they said, okay, you don't have to attend preseason, just come to the games. And you're Tony Gonzalez, so you're going to say yes.
Well, I think about when like what David Ortiz did between 2003 and 2008 earned him the right to be a part of the Red Sox until the day he retires. I mean, basically, I hate to say that, but whether his production declines over the next 3 to 5 years, if he even has that much left in him, he's earned that right to have that contract available to him whenever he wants it. And the fact that Reggie Wayne, like you said, the Colts don't, I hate to say don't respect, because by the way, they've lost their credibility by letting Peyton Manning go.
Oh, yeah.
But now they let him go.
But you also got to
Jim
remember they set
Irsay
a
has
precedent with Harbaugh back in '96 when
That's
they
true.
brought Manning in. They did that already.
But I'll tell you what, the letting Manning go was smart because they had, Manning probably would have brought him pretty far again the next year, and they wouldn't have had a chance to get a blue-chip quarterback like Luck.
Right.
That was their opportunity. Reggie Wayne, you'll never find another wide receiver like I don't care how fast he is, how slow he is, this, that, or the other thing. You know what? You let him be who he is. And there's only benefits. There's only disadvantages if you let him walk.
So that's a key piece of a GM and ownership is it's not what Peyton Manning can do for me right now. What is he going to do for me next season? The season after that.
3 or 4 seasons
if
from
we
now, yeah.
suck this year, we're going to get somebody like Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
If Peyton Manning does well and we keep him, where are we stuck
that's
with
the,
that?
That's
Right.
the question why Peyton Manning hasn't said anything yet this year. You want to know why?
Because he knows.
Because he knows. But and the Broncos know if they hold on to him for next year, and even if they do fairly well, they're not going to get a blue chip pick. They're actually better letting Thomas go. They're better letting everyone else go. Welker's on the downslide. Everyone else, they're letting other people go other
That
places.
team is definitely old, definitely getting on the older side.
They're better to let themselves slide into being worse temporarily to be better overall quickly than they are to be better this season and horrible the next 5 seasons after.
And that's one of the most difficult things I think that the management has to look at is this guy was great for 5 seasons. He was good 2 seasons ago, and he was borderline this season. Is it time to cut the cord?
Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs ever want to not have Joe Montana come back for a 3rd year?
Right. Or speaking of the Chiefs, they had Dwayne Bowe was their their first round pick 3 years ago or 4 years ago. The guy is obsolete basically now as a receiver, and now he's cut. Now he doesn't have a job.
They say he's obsolete, but we'll see if Macklin can do anything. Because you know what? If you can't get a single receiver touchdown, the problem isn't the receiver.
And Macklin got a contract based on being in Chip Kelly's system.
Right. But
Being thrown to by Mark Sanchez. Like, he can be an absolute fucking bust.
By Mark Sanchez.
I'll tell you, the problem is
Sanchez.
Alex Smith. Alex Smith did not make any 49er an All-Pro.
No.
Sure.
No. Alex Smith was, spark at the right time. And Macklin's going to be a bust. He's going to be disgruntled within 2 years and then demanding a new contract somewhere else.
Right.
Let's you talk about the 49ers fire sale going on right now because of Kaepernick. I guarantee Kaepernick brought a lot of that on in the last 2 seasons. Here's the problem with a quarterback who does well in their rookie or second season.
No one has film on him, by the way.
Exactly. You get film. That's what happened with Russell Wilson. He
Exactly.
kind of was average the first
Or
season.
even Matt Castle when he went to Kansas City.
RG3.
He had one breakout season. He goes to Kansas City. They're like, we got film on you, Chief.
Hey,
we know what you're doing.
We got you, brother.
Matt Castle. You want to know where you need to find his locker room tape?
Next to Matt Flynn?
No. He did not start one game in college.
Yeah.
He was behind
Right.
Palmer and Leinart.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to go back to high school to have any tape on him.
Right.
So of course Ryan Mallett's going to do well in his first year.
So let's talk about. We talked about this a little bit earlier today, not on microphone, but the. Pause for a second.
Please stand by.
So, something we talked about a little bit earlier today, not on microphone, was the fact that our frustration a little bit with, we're talking about fantasy a little bit, but how running backs have now sort of become mildly obsolete. Yes, we agree that DeMarco Murray, Jamal Charles, in borderline LaShawn McCoy are elite guys, but beyond that, everything has kind of become a quarterback by committee, and that's sort of become a plug-in, whoever you want type of situation. Are we heading towards an NFL where the running back has sort of become a rotisserie type of position?
But I think the media fuels a lot of that, though, because they start talking about somebody's inabilities, and it starts getting the mindset of other people. I think the media fuels a lot of it.
But don't you think that these guys, they're the most beat up position.
They are.
And
other than fullbacks and halfbacks.
What's a fullback anymore?
Fullback blocks for your running back.
No, not anymore. Now it's a tight end. That's why there's so few good tight ends. But my argument would be that the NFL system likes the big plays. There's so few.
It's become a passing game.
It's a passing game. So
they want that Russell Wilson pass in the Green Bay game.
True.
They want.
Very true.
It's a pass through game. So all you're doing by running is just delaying the next pass or trying to make a team think I'm running it on this play or whatever it is. And if it happens to be great, it's great. And if it's not, no one expects it to.
And you can put anybody in that position. I mean, look who was Justin Forsett or Talaferro from Baltimore.
Whatever it was. That particular
these guys
weekend,
came in at the last second with the Ray Rice thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and DeMarco Murray is leaving Dallas. Yes, not saying Tony Romo's not talented, but I feel like there's also like 3 or 4 guys you could put in that position who could perform on a decent level.
DeMarco Murray had one good year. He had one great year.
Right, and he broke records. But now, is he going to break records next year? Look at LaShawn McCoy. Last year, everyone was beating off about this guy constantly, and he comes into the league this year, and he's wildly mediocre.
Because they have tape on him. They figured out how to stop him. That's the key of a defensive coordinator.
No, like a true physical specimen is a true like no one would have ever found a way.
But you have to be versatile.
Yeah, no one ever would have found a way to stop Bo Jackson if Bo Jackson's strength didn't shear his own hip off.
But that other argument though, when the defensive coordinator figures out how to stop the running back, it's the offensive coordinator's job to know that defensive coordinator has that tape. Mm-hmm. He knows what I know. He knows what I'm going to do.
But there's also
I have to figure out how to go past that.
But there's a versatility aspect to it. Where like look at a guy like Jamal Charles.
Sure.
That guy can do 7 different things.
Oh, yeah.
I can catch out of the backfield. I can actually be a slot receiver.
Maybe we should actually say the days of the strict banging running back are gone. Where the sheer power runner are gone. And maybe we're at a point where instead of power runners, we should probably ignore them unless they're really, head and shoulders above the rest, and look for the guy that can run, that can bang, that can catch passes, that can block. Like, because how many guys are on squads with the title of fullback?
Very few,
I have
yeah.
one, maybe two.
Right.
You know,
Halfback usually goes in between that position.
So where do you think Adrian Peterson or Ray Rice ends up this year? One, do you think they'll play, and two, do you think they'll
Ray
end
Rice
up
to the Cowboys.
I mean, is this
I'm going the
are these two
opposite way.
are these two guys even viable?
Ray Rice to the 49ers.
No, now 49ers are going to be desperate in their fire sale, so I could see that, Tom. That's really good. I'm going to say
it's interesting.
Adrian Peterson to the Cowboys. We all know the whispers that happened last season with the illegal recruiting and stuff between Jerry Jones and his father or himself and whatever it was. And that's cute and all, but like in all reality,
it's adorable.
Do you want Lance Dunbar as the guy starring in Cowboy Stadium?
No, because he sounds like he'd be doing my taxes.
Yes. And what I will say is though that Adrian Peterson, he should not play for the Vikings. Why would you play for a team that will not back you? They crucified him. They sent him out before the NFL said anything. I would not play. Like I'm for who I work for. I am loyal. I'm a loyal guy. But you know what? When you are the witch hunt, when they put the witch hunt on you before the witch hunt is put on you by the people in power. No, there's no reason for him to stay. I don't know what the Cowboys administration is thinking, that how they could keep him. Like, it'd just be in their best interest to say, we're interested in dealing him because of personal differences or whatever. And they probably come up a little more highbrow than they have. They're coming out kind of lowbrow by saying, we have people that still love Adrian Peterson here. Yeah, because they are not saying, the administration's not saying, we are the ones that messed up. We should not have led the witch hunt on Adrian. We should have held back until the NFL said something.
Well, fans are already pissed off at you for doing that.
Well, I said this earlier. I was like, I don't like the fact that the team prosecuted him and policed him prior to prosecutors and policing him.
They were worried about losing Radisson as a sponsor.
Exactly. They were more concerned about they were far more PR driven and oriented than anything else.
Because of the Ray Rice incident.
It wasn't like a Patriots thing where Revis shows up late to practice and they had him sit. Like, that's team rules, and that's like a general level of that's team rules, and that's a level of respect you pay to your coaches and teammates. Like, if you skip practice, that's one thing. But, like, when it comes to an issue that's as broad as it was,
right,
there was no need to do that on the Vikings' part.
We can agree that the NFL season last year was an absolute fucking PR disaster. So everything,
I think PR disaster is making it sound good.
Yeah, no.
So
PR is a PR double abortion. I mean, it was awful.
What can the NFL do to make the NFL look better right now in the short term?
I think they have to be. I think they have to be so steadfast on discipline.
You need to embrace players like J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson.
You need to you need to bring the guys who are super great PR assets to the forefront. Like I said, J.J. Watt he should be the fucking poster child for that goddamn league. Because guys love this guy. You need to bring Tom Brady
up
there.
I don't even like the Texans, but my God, I would wear a J.J. Watt jersey.
I said that. He's the only person I consider wearing the jersey for, just because the stand-up guy. He says, success isn't given; it's a lease, and rent is due every day.
Yeah. No, I love that,
and he believes it. He visited kids in the hospital, 3 kids, and he refused. He made sure he stayed in touch with them. He goes, because I don't want to be the guy that was there once for them in their life for 5 minutes and I'm out.
To take a picture.
Take a picture. So we still stay. Like you can't teach that.
Right.
But you can teach how not to be a jerk.
Yeah, I think they need to crucify these guys who are getting in trouble off the field.
Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson off the field, off season. They need to be the restrictions need to be like definitive, and they need to be swift.
Guess what? If I'm involved in a fucking shooting with my job's gonna be like, I'm gonna distance myself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the heat off of you.
If you want to be a thug, you can be a thug, but you're not gonna be a multi-millionaire thug. And
right. I think it ends with Roger Goodell getting out of office.
I think he's just so deep he can't get out. I'm sorry, he has to get out. He's so deep he can't redeem himself.
I think if they bring a new regime in and they say, hey, we need a guy like Chris Johnson, we found out that you're involved with this and this and this, you're suspended for 1 year. It's done. There's no appeal. It's over.
Background checks. If I go to get a job with fucking Tyco International or some other company, I'm gonna have a background check if they find something
And if I'm doing
suspicious,
fucking gang signs in my
I'm
On
going-
Facebook.
I'm
on
not
my
getting
Facebook,
one.
I'm
Right.
you know, there are companies that look at your Facebook before you even get hired, before that you even know they're really interested. And if they see you chowing down on drinks every night, if they see you doing anything illicit, illegal, or immoral, they just won't hire you. So
Holding an
why should
AR-15.
Right.
why
Why am I gonna hire
why
you?
should the NFL be any different? You know what? If you want to make money to a higher standard,
But
you
this
should
is
be held to a
but
higher
this is
standard.
also the consequence of the owners. The owners, all they want to do is make money. These guys, they're so highly invested in them. Like look at we talked about earlier about the supposed Des Bryant video. The Cowboys have invested almost $100 million in this guy.
Yeah.
All they're gonna want to do is squash the bad stuff. I mean, shit, they almost got away with squashing the Ray Rice stuff. If he wasn't in a casino, if he was in a shitty
I
Motel
think it
8,
started way ahead of time when NFL was saying we don't know where the video could have taken place. It's a fucking casino. There is a fucking camera in the porta potty.
yeah, every square foot of that entire casino is taken care
You
of.
jerk off, they know about it.
There
Absolutely.
was some guy that doesn't
Absolutely.
live in reality that told them to go forward and do that. There's some janitor cleaning up the NFL studios that's saying, hey, everywhere in a casino there's a camera.
Yeah,
Slow
by
it
the
down,
way.
guys.
I've lost my mortgage.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
camera
you know,
everywhere.
but
There's 5 cameras in the fucking elevator.
but there's 10 guys that make 9 figures that don't understand that, or it's not an issue to them, so they don't want to understand it.
Right.
It's corporate America being corporate America, and it is what it is. And unfortunately, though, I think the NFL is something that America embraces so well that we're actually hurt when they don't do stuff right.
And I also think media has to do a lot with it too. I'm going to go back to media here for a second. If you take away all of the bad and the negativity, they have nothing to talk about, and there's just no room
Right.
for good, heartfelt stories 24 hours. a day.
I.e., Deflategate. What would
Deflategate was
what
completely
would
motivated
have
by.
media, what would media have talked about for 2 weeks in between, and now it's dying
And
out.
guess
and
what
there's
Right.
no answer.
to come from it? Absolutely fucking nothing.
All right.
And there better be something, like I'm saying, and like Mike's saying. You know what? If a new regime comes in, if Goodell's gone, and they name Anthony Johnson Terry,
Don Mazzelli,
the
Don Mazzelli.
commissioner of NFL.
Perfect choice.
He better come in and he better be steadfast with what he says. There's no wavering. There's no havering. It's kind of like with the NFL,
NBA, Adam Silver. He's
Yeah,
come
you
in.
fuck up, you're done.
He's come in and he's laid the law down. And not only has he laid the law down, he's actually abided by the law that he
and I
set
haven't
precedents
seen a lot of
for.
weird
But-
little quinky-dink things on
but maybe
ESPN
that's
about it.
maybe that's because it's the way it has to. You know what? Sports, we're not playing in the game of the mid to early 90s.
No.
Sports had to evolve.
Yeah.
Sports management and administration has to evolve,
Bill
and maybe that's
Lambier
where it
can't
comes
be
from.
here anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel good.
Just we want him to.
I feel good about this, by the way. You guys feel good?
I feel great.
We
I
want
think
to
it's-
make more in the hotel room later.
Make more sex? Semen?
That girl gonna make
Could we do a part 2 to this in the hotel room later?
We could do,
Once we're good and liquored up, because I think this would be hilarious.
or we could do tomorrow hungover.
Sky rockets in flight.
Ooh.
Afternoon delight.
Ooh, how about we do part of it as we're drunk tonight, hungover tomorrow, trying to figure out what the fuck
Before we talked about it.
Like, we listened to it beforehand. We're like,
Well,
wow.
Let's make our way to City Tavern and go play some darts and go have some dinner.
By the way, thank Hotel Indigo here for letting
Hotel
us,
Indigo,
take
awesome,
our,
yes, took
River
over.
District of Fort Myers, Florida. We're going to head down to City Tavern where the
And,
famous Bar Rescue was filmed.
Yes.
Thank
And
Daddy
have some
Jack's
drinks.
Vape Shack for the vape.
Big Daddy's.
utensils for today.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for Bud Light for supplying my beer
Yeah.
into my face.
GoPro, Nikon.
Yes.
All the.
How many more ways can we
Great
sell
band,
out?
actually.
Can we sell out more in the next 2 minutes? Anything else we can? What are you wearing fashion wise?
I go Nike.
We're wearing Nike. but you're wearing-
Bodybuilding.com. I'd like to give a shout out to Furious Pete here.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys.
You want to take another round with Don Mazzelli?
Don Mazzelli?
Stay classy, podcast listeners.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Cunt.